morning, everyone. So I have here to make things a little bit more interesting, and I'm not just droning on over here. I made some source sheets over here, so everybody can grab a sheet. The formatting is a little bit messed up, so I'll kind of walk you through as we if we get stuck in the formatting. But just you can follow along as we're doing the different quotes that we're going to be bringing up in the class. So we mentioned previously that the first part of Tanya is we're going to discuss the spiritual composition. We're going to talk about the parts, right? Kind of the table of contents for what we're going to be discussing in the book of Tanya. As we mentioned as well, the book of Tanya is really called the Sefer Shel Benoni, the book of the middle path. Someone who's not a tzaddik, not a rasha, he's a middle guy, in between, the regular folks. The question is, how do you define a Benoni? How do you define somebody who's regular? What is the definition of this guy, this in-between person, right? And that's what we're going to be trying to define over here. But in order to get there, we're going to take a step further. Because in order to define someone who's not extreme, we're going to first want to know, well, who are the extremes, right? The Benoni is someone who's not a tzaddik. He's not a righteous man. He's not a rasha. He's not a wicked person. He's neither. Well, what's a wicked person and what is a righteous person? In order to know who's the neither guy, we have to understand what the other points are. So that's where we're going to start, by defining these three terms: tzaddik, rasha, and benoni, the righteous, the wicked, and the in-betweener. We're going to start by talking about the classic definition. When you think of the words righteous, what comes to mind when you think of a righteous person? A tzaddik. What do you think of?
Someone who does good deeds.
Okay, someone who does good deeds. And what do you think of as a wicked person?
Someone who lies, steals, bears false witness.
Someone who does bad deeds, right?
Okay.
So you're defining it by their deeds, right? What would you say the middle guy is, the Benoni? Someone who's neither righteous nor wicked, makes mistakes. Okay, so that is pretty close to the classic interpretation of the words, but we are going to redefine those terms to completely new definitions. And we're going to start in a very intellectual Talmudic style of learning, which is the way most Hasidic books, most Hasidic works start, by first bringing sources, either from a verse or from the Talmud. We're going to bring sources and we're going to analyze them, and then we're going to dig down deeper and get into the nitty-gritty of what everything means. One more quick mention, which is, I mentioned previously that this book has a couple of names, right? One of them was, like I just said, the Sefer Shel Benonim, the book of the middle person. Another name I mentioned is Likutei Amarim, which is a collection of sayings. These are both the official names given by the author of the Tanya, Rabbi Shneur Zalman. These are the names that he gave. Morning, welcome. Perfect. Don't close all the way. You do a little bit so we can just come in. Just getting started. But grab some food.
Yeah.
Grab a sandwich. Oh. So we're talking about why the Tanya is called Tanya. It's not the name of the book. It doesn't have that name, Tanya. Yeah, we call it the Tanya. Where does the name Tanya come from? And the answer is it comes from the very first word of the book. Very simple. As in many classic Jewish works, you think about, for example, the books of the Torah, the 5 books of the Torah, right? Bereshit, Shemot, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Dvarim. Where do those names come from? It's just the first word. The first word of Bereshit is Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, right? The beginning of Shemot is Eilu Shemot. So we take a word from the beginning of the book. And so the same thing with the Tanya. The first word of Tanya is Tanya, which means we learned. Tanya means it has been stated, we have learned. And so we're going to start with a quote from the Mishnah and from the Talmud. And therefore, we're going to start off the book by saying, Tanya, it has been stated. That is how the book begins.
What language is that?
Tanya is Aramaic. It's a term you'll find very often in the Talmud and the Gemara. Whenever we're quoting a Mishnah we say Tnan, we're quoting a Brisa, we quote it as Tanya.
You translated it to Hebrew?
So no, the Hebrew here is the original Hebrew from the Tanya, and the English is a translation, not my own translation, but I copied off somewhere else. And
It just says the word Tanya, and then it goes to you.
well, yeah, Tanya is that it's quoting. So Tanya says it has been stated, and then it says what has been stated, right? So here we go with what has been stated. If you look here, so I mentioned before that the formatting is a little messed up. So it starts from the word before, which is underneath the Hebrew, as opposed to on the side of the Hebrew. You see, it goes from there before and it continues on to the other side. So before you were born, the heavenly court made you swear, be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha. So every person before they're born, before the fetus even comes down into its mother's body, so at this point it's really just, there's nothing yet, but it's going to become a child, it's going to become a baby in the future. This baby, this future baby comes before the heavenly court, and they make this baby swear before the court that I am going to be a tzaddik. Be a tzaddik and don't be a rasha.
Love it.
Right? Double swearing.
Love it.
But then it continues. Yet they also made you swear. Even if the whole world tells you that you are a tzaddik, everybody tries to convince you, wow, look at you, you're so righteous, you're so special, you're a tzaddik, you're holy.
Wow.
Be in your own eyes like a rasha. Never say for yourself, look at me, I'm a tzaddik. You have to see yourself as a sinner, no matter what, no matter how good you are.
I don't like it.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to continue. This is just the first quote. And right away, you don't like it. The Alter Rebbe agrees with you. He doesn't like it either.
Good.
He says, hold on.
Good.
I have a couple of problems with that.
Yeah.
The first problem is, again, quoting from a Mishnah. So let's look at the next line right away. It says clearly in a Rasha, in a Mishnah, in Pirkei Avot, do not consider yourself a Rasha.
Good.
That's not appropriate. It's not proper for someone to consider themselves as a bad person. It's not the way to go.
That's right.
So we have here already a contradiction. One place says, consider yourself a rasha. The other place says, don't consider yourself a rasha.
Don't be a Russian.
Well, no, we said, even if the whole world tells you that you're a tzaddik, be in your own eyes like a rasha. And then we say, do not consider yourself a rasha.
Yeah.
Contradiction of terms, right? Now, I want to tell you, we're starting with this question. We're not going to answer it till way down the line. We're going to answer some other things in between, but this question is going to stay for a while. We'll get back to it eventually, but not so fast, which is the way Chassidut usually goes. We start off with a question, go completely off topic, and then eventually come back to the question, answering it with everything we spoke about in between. So here we have a contradiction of two different teachings in the Talmud. Taking it further, we can also understand logically it's a problem as well. Like you were saying, it doesn't make sense. Why? There's a couple of problems with thinking of yourself as a rasha, as a wicked person. Number one, if you see yourself as a rasha, you're gonna get depressed. It's not a way to go about, right? You're gonna just think of yourself as I'm lost, I'm a lost soul.
And keep on doing bad things.
And furthermore, if you don't become depressed, you're gonna become callous. You're gonna who cares, right? Big deal. I'm a lost case anyway. What does it matter? Why should I bother trying? Why should I bother trying to do the right thing if I'm goner anyway? I'm a rasha anyway. I'm just write me off. It doesn't matter. What does anything matter? I can do whatever I want to do. So we have to understand, what is this all about when the Talmud says they made you swear that you're going to look at yourself as a rasha. That's our problem we're going to have right now. So in order to understand this, we're going to take a step back, and like we mentioned, we're going to define the terms tzaddik, rasha, and meini. What is a righteous person? What is a wicked person? And what's this in-between guy, this guy who's neither here nor there? We have to understand these terms in order to be able to get the answer to our questions. So what is a tzaddik? We find in the Talmud, if you look at the next reading on the source sheet, the Talmud from Brachot, we find in the Talmud it says that there's actually not 3 categories like we've been saying until now. There are actually 5 categories. There are more than 3. You have a tzaddik betovlo, a tzaddik for who things are good. Things are going well for the tzaddik.
Are we on the other side?
No, I'm at this paper. It's just the same paper. Same paper.
Same side.
Yeah, right here. You see the list, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
So we have here the 5 different categories of different people. So you have a tzaddik for who things are good. You have a tzaddik for who things are bad, which we'll define what these means. A rasha for who things are good. A rasha for who things are bad. And then we have, again, the Beinoni, the in-between person. So now we're getting a little more nitty-gritty, right? We have 5 categories, not just 3. We're breaking it down further. What do these terms mean? What defines a tzaddik where things are going well, whereas a tzaddik where things are not going well? What's the difference between going well or not? So it continues in the Talmud. The tzaddik for who things are good is a complete tzaddik, but the tzaddik for who things are bad is an incomplete tzaddik. So he's like a lower grade tzaddik, right? He's almost there. He's not complete. And then the same thing goes on the flip side, the other side as well. The rasha, you have the rasha who's a full-on rasha. He's a complete rasha. That's the rasha for where things are bad. Then you have rasha for where things are good. He's not so bad. He's bad, but he's still got some, he's not completely off the rails. So we have 5 categories now, as opposed to the 3. Yes.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I do not understand this, what it says here, a tzaddik for whom things are good.
Mhm.
Does that mean he sees everything in his life is good? What does it mean?
Good
That's
question.
what I mean. I don't
Good
know.
question. So we're
It's
middle
not
of
clear.
defining that. But I'll give you a classic interpretation for that. Although, as I said, we're still defining what that means. But one explanation for that is a tzaddik that things are simply going well in life.
But tovlo, okay.
He has
Hebrew, I
things, he's going well.
understand.
Why? So
Okay.
what does that matter? Because we say a tzaddik who thinks are going well, he has nothing, never done anything wrong. He has nothing to get punished for. God has no reason. He has no challenges because everything is because he's so perfect. He's never done anything wrong in his life.
In other words, not every tzaddik is perfect.
Well, we're saying the create tzaddik who's not complete. But again, we're not going to actually stay with this interpretation. We're gonna
No, when I read the Hebrew, I understand it better.
right. Okay,
The tovlo, he's
Right.
happy with what is.
everything is good for him. He's going well. Life is good. Yeah.
The Hebrew is clear.
Yeah, he has his children, he has his family, he's doing well in Parnassa, everything is going well in life. The translations here are all from the Chabad or Tanya.
Yeah.
It's just because it's cracking copy paste. It's online. Yeah.
Original was always best.
Exactly, 100%.
The broken telephone.
Exactly.
They translate it back and it doesn't even have anything to do with it.
Okay.
So this is from the Talmud. But now you're all asking, what does it mean? Tzaddik v'tovlo, tzaddik v'ralo. What does that mean? What does it mean? It's obvious that's a complete tzaddik, things are going well, not going well. We're still not clear on the terminology, what these different terms all mean. And so we have the Zohar, which is the next reading from the Zohar. The Zohar is actually, this section of the Zohar actually says it was written by Moshe Rabbeinu. So Raya Mehemna says it was written by Moshe Rabbeinu.
Wow.
And he says as follows: Tzaddik v'ralo, a tzaddik and things are bad for him, is a tzaddik that does contain some bad, but it is subdued to the good that dominates within him. So he is a tzaddik. The good is dominating. The good is on top. It's in charge. It's running the show. It's making all the decisions. The bad is completely subdued, but it exists. He still has within him a spark of something that's not so right? Conversely, the rasha, and good is his, contains some good, but it is subdued to the bad that dominates him. He has a little spark inside. Ultimately, the spark fails, right? Because he ultimately makes the wrong choices, but there's still something there. There's something taking him in the right direction.
There's hope.
There's hope. There's a little something there, a little that thought in the back of his mind, like maybe I should do the right thing. Maybe I should, but then ultimately he makes the wrong choice.
Okay.
And then we continue with another Talmud, with another statement from the Talmud. Talmud from Brachot. In tzaddikim, their good impulse is the judge who determines their moral decisions. So we have within us, we have a good side and a bad side, which we'll talk about more as we continue. We have within us is a battle going on. And who is making the decisions? Who is ultimately choosing which way to go?
Uh-huh.
Do we follow the good within us? Or do we follow the not so good within us? So by tzaddikim, their good side is the judge. It's what's choosing which way to go. It's what's leading us in the right side. We turn the page, the other side. In Rishayim, by wicked people, their bad impulse is the judge who determines their moral decisions. It's their bad impulse that's choosing which way to go in their decisions in life. In Beinonim, the in-between guy, both judges determine their moral decisions. So this is again,
Whether it's Friday or like minute to minute.
it's basically, yeah, every time you have a moral decision, you have to make it, sometimes you go this, sometimes you go that way. Right? You have impulses that are pulling you both ways. The first guy always chooses to do the right thing. The second guy always chooses to do the wrong thing. The third guy, sometimes this way, sometimes that way. Which I would say is probably for most of us, right? None of us are perfect, and none of us are perfectly bad. We make decisions, sometimes this way, sometimes that way. This is all within the classic interpretations of Tzaddik, Rasha, and Beinoni. Because in all these different readings that we've had so far, we're pretty much saying that you have good and bad within you. The tzaddik is doing good things. The rasha is doing bad things. The Beinoni is sometimes this way, sometimes that way. That's basically what we're finding in all these different Talmudic interpretations. So we have a little chart of what we've done so far, which is the 5 categories.
Mm.
And we have here the definition. We have here from the Talmud in Brachot. We have 2 places in the Talmud in Brachot. We have the Zohar, and we have the Talmud further on in Brachot. So we have 4 different ways we've defined so far these different interpretations, these different levels. So if we see the first one is we have a tzaddik for who things are good and tzaddik for things are bad are explained as a complete tzaddik or an incomplete tzaddik. The Zohar says it's only good within him is the tzaddik who is things are good, and tzaddik where things are bad is someone who contains some bad, but it's subdued to his good. And then we have the 4th definition, where the tzaddik is someone who has good impulses, is the judge who determines their moral decisions. He always does the right thing. And again, we have for the rasha the similar. We have the rasha for things are good. It's an incomplete rasha, contains some good, but it's subdued to his bad. The rasha for things are bad is a complete rasha, only bad within him. And for both of these, the bad impulse is the judge who determines their moral decisions. And finally, we have the Beinoni, which we don't have much interpretation so far, but we say in the final definition, both judges determine their moral decisions. Right? This is what we've learned so far, different interpretations from the Talmud and the Zohar. Now's where things start getting fun. Because so far, everything checks out. It all kind of matches up. Because in the Gemara, in the Talmud, in Brachot, the last reading that we mentioned, where it says that the tzaddik, he always does the right thing. The Beinoni, he sometimes does the wrong. The Beinoni sometimes this way, that way. The rasha always does the wrong thing. The Talmud continues there. Amar Rabba. Who was Rabba? Rabba was one of the greatest Torah sages of all time. One of the great Torah sages in the Talmud. He was a very learned person, a very holy man. And as we'll learn soon, he was so holy that he, when it was time for him to die, he was unable to die. Why? In order for a person to die, there is a malach hamavet. There is the angel whose job is to take the person and bring them to the next world, right? But there are certain things that constrain the malach hamavet that hold them back from doing his job. One of them is when the person who's meant to die is busy learning Torah. He can't take the guy while he's in the middle, immersed in Torah learning.
Wow.
And we have a similar story by there with David HaMelech, King David. David HaMelech, it says it was time for him to die, and he was studying Torah the whole day. He knew he was going to die on a Shabbat. So he thought about it. He made sure When Shabbat came, he learned the entire Shabbat. He didn't stop learning.
He didn't want to die yet.
He didn't want to die. He was young. He was only 70 years old. He wanted
How old?
70.
I'm young. Okay.
So he wanted to keep living. So he was learning Torah. He liked to learn Torah anyway. So he spent Shabbat the entire day learning Torah. Now the Melech HaMavet, he had a job to do. He's got to take him. So what did he do? He made some rustling outside in the leaves. Said to King David should go out and investigate what's going on. So he started going out, but he continued learning. He knew the Torah by heart. So he continued saying the Torah as he walked. So what the angel did was he broke one of the steps.
Oh,
And as he was walking, he tripped on the step.
come on.
At the moment that he tripped, he stopped learning Torah, and that was it. He was gone. That's how he tricked King David. Rabbah had a similar story.
That angel of death.
Got a job to do, right? So Rabbah had a similar story. It was time for him to die, but he was learning Torah. He was learning Torah all the time. He didn't stop learning. So the angel didn't know what to do. He has to figure something out. Now, at the same time that this was going on, Rabbah was also being chased by the authorities for studying Torah. It was illegal. He was breaking the law, so the authorities were after him.
Where was this? Russia or something?
No. We're talking about in Babylonia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is we're talking 2,000 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah. So it was forbidden to teach Torah. So they were after him. They were chasing him. So he was in hiding. He was in hiding at the time, and so the Malach HaMavet came and started making some noises. Now Rabbah knew that it's one or the other. Either this is the soldiers coming to capture him, or it's the angel of death coming to get him. Right? So he said, well, if it's the soldiers, they're going to take me. Who knows what's going to happen, right? They're going to cause problems. They're going to take me, and all kinds of issues can happen. I'd rather go to the Malach HaMavet. I'd rather die and not end up with the,
Wow.
not end up getting caught by the soldiers. So he stopped learning so that they could take his soul. So this is Rabbah. Rabbah is one of the greatest of all men, right? He is obviously a tzaddik. What does Rabbah say when we're discussing here the tzaddik Rosh on the Beinani? Rabbah says, Kegon ani Beinani. No, it's not in here. Like me, I'm a Beinani. You want to know what a tzaddik Rosh Beinani is? Look at me. You'll see what a Beinani is. I'm a Beinani. Now hold on. Rabbah, this great Torah leader, this great sage, this man who didn't stop learning Torah for a moment, he said, like me, I'm a Beinani. Now, right away, Abaye, who was a student, says, hey, don't call yourself a Beinani because that means the rest of us are doomed. You're basically telling us the rest of us are going to hell because we're all, we're not on your level. So don't say that. Obviously, you're a tzaddik. So right away, it was taken back. But the fact is, he did say about himself that I'm a Beinani.
Okay.
And this wasn't some kind of false, humility that he's saying like, oh, I'm not so great. He knew who he was. And he wasn't, making a joke. He really felt in a certain aspect, maybe he's a Beinani. He really considered himself on that level. So now we're starting to see some cracks in this idea of what a Beinani is. If a Beinani is someone who does sins and mitzvot, sometimes does it right, sometimes does it wrong, how could Rabbah have thought of himself as a Beinani?
Because he was enough.
But we said it's not false humility. Yeah, he was not out, but a real humility. False humility is, you make yourself as if you know who you are, you be honest with yourself and you say, it's not my own greatness.
Right.
It was given to me by God. I have special talents. That's an anav, right?
Right.
But to say, yeah, I'm not really so great. Come on, we know who you are. You know who you are. I'm not playing games here, right? It's a real thing. So obviously, a Beinani is not someone who does sins. Because someone who does sins, Rabbah would have thought of himself as someone who does sins. He knows the truth. He knows he doesn't sin. He knows he's a great person. A question? Or you just
No, just saying.
Let's go for another Talmud. We're right under the chart. This is a statement from Job. Eov, that's right. So Eov says in the Talmud, Master of the world,
Master of the world.
It is you who created tzaddikim. It is you who created rishayim. Basically, the Talmud there says that Eov is telling God. He says, God, you made an unfair world. You took a donkey and you made him a non-kosher animal. You didn't do anything to make himself not kosher. You decided he's going to be a not kosher animal. You took a cow, you made him kosher.
Yeah.
Right? You took you made a person and you said he's going to be a I would have here the other things he has here. You created a Garden of Eden and you created Gehenna, and you created a person and said he's going to be righteous, and you created another person and said he's going to be wicked. So you define everybody before, and then it's not fair. It's not a way it's not a fair way of setting up the world.
Are we accepting this?
Hold on. So Job says, Job says that God predefined, he predetermined whether we're going to be a tzaddik or a rasha.
Oh my.
That's what Job says. However, we can put it right in the bottom of the page, the next one, it says in the Talmud says that before you are born, it is predetermined whether you're going to be rich or poor, whether you're going to be smart or not so smart, whether the life of every individual, when the life of every individual is determined in heaven, however, it is never declared whether he is a tzaddik or a rasha. Yes, there are many things that are predetermined, but which way you're going to go in life, that's up to you.
Okay.
That's on you to make that decision. That's not predetermined.
This is the Emet.
This is the Talmud.
This is free choice. So, okay, that makes sense because I always.
Exactly.
When I told you, like, how could people make such bad, like, how could God create such evil?
He
They would
gives
have
them
a
a choice.
discussion.
Exactly. There's a
He
choice.
said there's a
Yeah.
choice, and I said, no, but God knows what he's going to choose, blah, blah, blah. We have.
But he does give up option other than animals.
All we did, Shemaim, what's in your Shemaim? Everything Hashem can decide except for your choices, whether you're going to do the right thing.
But that is an important question you're asking. It's not directly connected, but I'll answer it quickly. Regarding B'chira Chavshit, people always ask, you say I have free choice, but God already knows what I'm going to choose.
Because there's no past, present, or future.
God knows what he already knows what my choice is going to be. So is it really free choice? Do I really have the ability to choose? So it's a great question. But Chassidus explains,
Yes.
what's the answer?
The answer is yes. We do have free choice.
But how? How does that work if God already knows what we're going to choose?
It's like, I know you're going to tell me
Right.
something.
It's like, a kid is going to choose the candy over the carrot,
Right.
but they have the choice.
No. But that's not called free choice. That's not B'chira Chavshit. No. B'chira Chavshit, there has to be equal choice. It has to be a choice that you could really, if it's a choice that's not even, that you would never even have chosen that way, then that's not called free choice.
If the kid loves carrot, okay?
If it really is a free choice. But if you say that it's such an obvious choice that God knows what you're going to choose, that's not free choice.
Right.
That's not the answer. The answer is that it's like, imagine, there's a famous joke of two guys are sitting in a bar. Two people are sitting in a bar. Yeah. Two people are sitting in a bar and they're watching the TV, watching the news. And there's a guy up on the bridge. He's about to jump. So first guy turns to the other guy and says, I'm going to bet you $100 he's not going to jump. The other guy says, okay, I'm betting $100 he is going to jump. And they're watching what happens. And a few minutes later, the guy goes and he jumps off the bridge. So, pulls out $100, he's going to pay up. He made a bet.
Maybe he's going to be saved.
So his friend says, the truth is, I don't feel right taking your money. Because the truth is, I already watched the news earlier. And they're just replaying it. I already saw earlier that he jumped, so I knew the answer. So that wasn't a fair bet. So the guy says, I have to be honest with you also. I also saw the news earlier. I also saw that he jumped, but I couldn't imagine he would do it again. So exactly. The answer is God's already seen the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I think as you mentioned it before, past, present, and future, somebody said it before, are all happening at the same time for God. So he's seen he's already looked at the future and he saw what you ultimately decided, but it was your decision. He's only watching the movie afterwards. The decision was yours, but he knows already what you chose.
It's hard for me to.
So another example given is if you go to a fortune teller,
Yeah.
all right, the fortune teller tells you that you are going to meet a redheaded person who's going to, give you a lot of money or whatever, right? Are they forcing you to go meet the redheaded person? Are they forcing whatever they predicted to happen?
No, but
They're not making you make that choice.
The choices you're gonna make.
They just know. We're talking about a real fortune teller. We're not talking about a joke that, these people that they're fortune tellers. They're a real fortune teller. Someone who could really see the future. They know what ultimately is going to happen, but they didn't do anything to make it happen.
but they did subconsciously.
If they tell you,
If they tell you. but
because they
you see
told you.
without
Once if
them.
they didn't tell you,
They go
God
out
didn't tell you.
And not tell you, and you could see it 5 years later that it happened.
right? You see, God didn't tell you. God didn't tell you what you chose. He didn't force you to make the decision. He knows ultimately what you chose because he saw the future.
But what if it was a debate? Like, what if it's something I didn't choose and then I did choose and I went back? Like, I'm saying,
He saw the end. He saw the end. He saw the final scene in the movie.
you know, it's so weird. I think the only thing that I can really understand is like a child with a mother, like she has a specific connection because it's part of them, like part of her.
But
She has the the instinct, so maybe that's like how I can.
you're saying, because it's such a strong bond.
I don't know, I'm trying to like,
Oh,
find that logically to understand the concept.
Of being part of Hashem and nothing. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, if I'm part of him,
he knows.
then it makes more sense and just, I don't know, I'm trying to like pick up on, because it's something that's like,
Your logic is not.
Okay, so it's crazy. I don't know how it works, but I do get visions and I do see things that are gonna happen in the future.
Okay.
Yes,
But she doesn't make them happen.
no, I don't make them happen,
Yeah, there are people.
but
who
it's
swear
already
that-
written that it's going to happen. And I see it,
so that means. that
so I have a choice. If I know the person, do I tell them or not?
So,
And if I don't know, I know it's an event. Let's say, I'm connected to Israel, so I know it's an event that's gonna happen, but I can't do anything.
Right, but
about
I'm-
it.
I think that the thing for me is that like the future was already kind of
It's.
chosen,
It
so I
wasn't
don't
chosen, it
really.
was seen.
It was
That's
seen,
exactly.
That's the difference.
It was seen,
It
not
wasn't
just.
chosen, it was seen.
But if it was seen, then it wasn't really a free choice.
No,
It
it
wasn't
was
something that
choices,
I.
they pre-see the choices that you're gonna make. Based on you.
yeah,
But then it's not.
Think of that example.
Then it's subconscious.
If you watch the movie.
No, so-
Watch the person struggle through whatever they're struggling through, even though the movie has, at the 2 o'clock, it's gonna be, we know what the choice is.
Let me remind you again what we said before, right? Imagine God didn't see it before; He saw it afterwards. Then it all makes sense.
I guess.
Okay. For God, the future already happened.
Okay, that part doesn't make sense.
It's so-
But
no,
that's what we're
it's-
talking about here. It has to break your way of thinking, but God is already in the future.
It doesn't
I'm
think the way you think.
No, so I'm saying like, let's say that, so here. Okay, so let's say that we figured out this like euphoric vision, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like, let's say now, so God sent Hitler, right? Hitler hurt the Jews, so Hitler killed people.
Plus.
God created.
Plus,
he can make his choices.
We're talking about Jews. Non-Jews is a different story, a whole nother discussion on Jews.
Right, no, I said,
So Hitler doesn't really have the choice.
okay, so.
Hitler's a whole,
Um,
non-Jewish, a whole different story.
Okay, October 7th is a different story.
We're talking about Jewish people, non-Jews have a whole different,
Okay.
they have their own system, which we could talk about, but it's not the same system. True free choice is only for a Jew.
so it makes sense if you say, that Hashem sees the past, the future, and the present at the same time.
Mhm.
So that would explain why I see what's gonna happen in the future.
There's no one.
It's known
But if
already,
it
and it
exists,
amazes
That's the thing,
me,
if it
but
exists, then it's subconscious in a human's mind. It's not 100% free choice.
Like a lot of times they do, like the Rabbi could have had whoever had the local Kodesh, they could see the future, but you still have these choices. You just need.
No, but if it
Part of
happens,
that.
then it happens. It's not 100%
And then
free
it's
choice.
everything.
Like,
I
you
know what you're saying. Yeah.
So I want to tell you, this is a topic, this is a topic that Hasidus discusses at length.
yeah, we
And
should stop now.
it's no, it's, we can have multiple classes on this.
Yeah.
It's a huge topic, and the questions you're asking are very good questions. Hasidus asks the same questions.
Yeah,
And there is an ultimately free choice exists and it doesn't exist, and it's It's
More
complicated.
complex.
It's very complex.
So I have a story, but I can tell it after the lesson.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should go back to this and we can
Yeah,
continue discussion later, but I wanted to continue the actual topic that we're doing here.
yes.
But yeah, there's what you're saying is correct. There's a lot of layers to it. Okay. So we were saying here,
Are we bringing something?
Piece of cake.
so Job says that God predetermines whether we are going to be a tzaddik or a rasha. The Talmud says it's not predetermined. Right? God doesn't predetermine that. God lets us figure that on our own. It's up to us to make our own choices. So far we're holding all kinds of contradictions. We have all kinds of, we're really confused about what all these terms mean. What is a tzaddik? What is a rasha? What is a benini? How do all these things fit together? And so we are going to nail down a little bit more what is a benini all about. Obviously, like we were saying before, a benini cannot be what we were saying until now, that the benini is someone who's half and half. He can't be a 50% person, 50% doing the right thing, 50% doing the wrong thing. That wouldn't make sense. Because again, how could Rabbi say about himself that he's a benini? How could such a special person say, I'm halfway Averot, I'm halfway sins? Obviously he's not. Furthermore, it doesn't make sense because the truth is there's no such thing as someone who is halfway there. At the moment that a person does a sin, small sin, something tiny, something that's insignificant, but they did a sin right now, they're a sinner. They are a full-on sinner. They're sinning right now. You're a sinner. You're not halfway. You are a sinner for doing a sin at this moment. And then the person goes and they do tshuva. They feel bad. They return to God. They feel bad that they did that sin. At that moment, they're not a halfway sinner. They're the greatest tzaddik. You're the most righteous person right now. You're clean. You've cleaned up your sins. You are completely perfect right now. There's no halfway point. Either somebody is a full-on sinner or they're a full-on non-sinner. They're the greatest tzaddik. What's this halfway? How can you be not here, not there? Did you do something wrong or are you clean at the moment? Which way are you? And he digs down. He says, and even if it's something small from the rabbis, even if it's someone who had an opportunity to learn and didn't learn at that moment, even someone who had the opportunity to correct someone else in sinning and didn't correct them.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to help another person.
Yeah.
Even the smallest thing, if you could have done something right and you did something wrong, you're a sinner. You've sinned, you did the wrong thing. There's no such thing as halfway. So obviously, this that people think, the general terminology that people think that there's someone who does half sins, half good deeds, is a Beinoni, is the in-between. Obviously, that interpretation doesn't fit. There's something wrong with that interpretation. There must be something more. When we say in the Talmud, all those quotes that we gave in the Talmud about a tzaddik is someone who does the right, who does more good than bad and things like that, that is all when it comes to a court case. When the person is being judged, the end of their life or during their life, throughout our lives, we're being judged all the time by God. When we're in a judgment, so God looks, okay, you've done more good than bad, you're tzaddik, you're righteous, you win the court case. You came out ahead. Great. But you're not really a tzaddik. Just because you came out ahead means you won the case. Doesn't mean that you're a tzaddik. Someone who did more sins than good deeds. They come out as a rasha. They come out as you lost your case. But it doesn't, that's not the definition of a tzaddik and a rasha. There must be a deeper meaning, a deeper interpretation of the actual terminology to understand when you're calling someone a tzaddik or a rasha or a beinoni, what defines them as that person. And that's the question we're going to try to answer right now. So it says about King David, David HaMelech, right? He writes in the Tehillim, V'libi chalal bekirbi.
Say it again.
V'libi,
Okay.
my heart.
Yes, yeah.
Halal bekirbi is empty within me. It's empty. What does it mean when he says my heart is empty within me? We have in our hearts there is living within our hearts a nefesh abahamis, which we're going to talk about now more. What is a nefesh abahamis? Nefesh abahamis is our animal soul. We have an animal soul within us, which leads us in a certain path. What is an animal? Animal is not evil.
No.
Animal is not bad. What is an animal? An animal is selfish. An animal is about me, right? I'm hungry, I eat. Tired, I sleep. I do what I want to do. I live my life.
We look at each other like, yep, that's Louis.
And
That's
Lily's not bad.
No,
It's an animal. That's what
very
animals do.
selfish.
That's a normal, it's
Tell me
normal
what you want.
behavior.
Chicken.
There's a story told of a giraffe and a goat.
Okay.
The giraffe and the goat are out in the field. And the giraffe is up there looking at the sky and looking at the beautiful scenery. And he turns to the goat. He says, have you ever seen what's out there? Have you seen the beautiful mountains, the trees, the clouds? It's beautiful. The goat says, no, never saw it. I spend my day looking down. I don't see up. I can't see anything. The giraffe says, oh, it's so beautiful. You have to see. It's amazing. You have to see what's out there. And he says, what's there already? What I need? He says, you have to come. He brings him up on a tall thing to come and look and see. And finally, the goat is convinced. He comes up and he's looking out and he sees, the mountains and then the trees and everything. And he says, okay, so now what? Can I eat it? How do I eat it? How does this help me? It's beautiful, but now what? What did I get from this? Right? It's all about.
It's like we took Louis for a road trip. He doesn't care about it.
What am I eating? That's all that matters. Let me eat. That's all I care about.
Honestly, the friend is, he starts barking and he's barking. I'm like, no way, he's acting like an animal?
Exactly. It's an animal. An animal has no
How
vision.
dare he?
Exactly. An animal doesn't have vision. An animal doesn't see a greater good, a more, an
They're
animal,
satisfied in what they have, like they
he just wants to
really want
eat. He
that.
wants to eat, sleep, live, go around, run around the yard, right? That's all he wants to do.
He's not sad when he's at home alone and not outside traveling, like.
Yeah.
I have to tell myself that.
And he has no big vision for the future, for the world, and he doesn't care. It doesn't matter to him. He goes about doing his thing. That's an animal.
Okay.
We have an animal within us too. We also have an animal. We also just want to, be our own selfless self. Not bad. Nothing wrong with wanting to eat, wanting to live a good life, make a good living, and have a nice house, be comfortable. Nothing wrong with that. It's just being selfish, not looking at a greater vision, at a greater good. It's just going about doing my thing, living my life. The expression goes, couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered. Just doing my thing. There's no meaning.
That's what I was gonna say, you don't have that fulfillment.
There's no fulfillment. Self-centered is just going about doing his thing. They say every pessimist doesn't call himself a pessimist. Every pessimist will say, I'm a realist. Right? Nobody's going to admit to being a pessimist. We see ourselves as, what do you mean? This is reality. This is real life. But this is the animal soul within us. We all have within us an animal soul. That, again, it's not evil. It's not bad. It's just selfish. It just does its thing, goes about doing its thing. Where is this animal soul? The animal soul is living in our hearts. I can attest. It's in our hearts, the animal soul, living in our hearts. King David said, "V'libi chalal b'kirbi," my heart is hollow. What does it mean it's hollow? He had no animal soul there. He says, I battled against my animal soul and I defeated him. He is no longer, he is gone. King David was at that point where he did sins. King David did, although the Talmud says he didn't say about King David he sinned. We won't get into the nitty-gritty of it, but he definitely did things that perhaps he shouldn't have done. But after all that, he did tshuva. He returned to God. He went through the process. And then he says, "V'libi chalal b'kirbi," it's gone. I have no more selfish ideas. I don't want it. I have nothing. There's no battle within me anymore. The battle's over. I won. It's done. That is a tzaddik.
He wasn't hungry, he wasn't thirsty, isn't that?
No, he ate because his body needs to eat to live. He didn't eat because he
You
wanted
don't
to.
have this Chabad to have like a steak, for example.
He had no interest in it. Your body has to live in order to live so you can do mitzvot. You have to eat, so you eat.
Yeah.
But he had no pleasure. He had no enjoyment.
No praise.
Sure.
You think people who want it.
Okay.
Sometimes, most times it's a crave that we have for certain stuff, but just to feed yourself, when I come home hungry, I just pick up a piece of bread. I don't crave the bread.
Never thought of it?
No,
100%.
but, no, just an example of
Yeah.
eating for survival and eating for pleasure.
Got it.
So this is the definition of a tzaddik. Someone who says, I have no longer any craving. There's no push. There's nothing within me that wants anything selfish. I don't even want it. There's no battle. I don't have to fight myself and make the right choice. So originally, as you all defined it as well, we think of a tzaddik as someone who does the right thing. Tzaddik is not someone who does the right thing. Tzaddik is someone who doesn't even want to do anything else. It's not about his actions. It's about who he is.
He got to a level that he cleared that one.
It's gone. He has no more any temptations. It's gone. He has no interest in it.
How does he know he's got into that? Like he gets a sign from Hashem?
So as we're going to get to, we'll explain this much later, but remember back to Rabbi, right? Rabbi says, like me, I'm a Benini. Rabbi already did get rid of his Yetzer Hara, of his animal soul,
Right.
but he didn't know. He said, maybe it's not, maybe it's still there, maybe it's just not dominant, which we'll explain more about that later. But you see that. So God, not necessarily do you know. That's the point. Maybe a person doesn't know who they really are. But it doesn't matter. You don't have to know. It's not about now I'm a tzaddik, now I made it, now I'm here in life.
There's no trophy for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Why not?
No,
Sitting here, God.
Depends.
the goal is not heaven. goal is not heaven.
If you went through Beis Yaakov's, you're not really for sure. Like outside in the fire and burning.
That's what they tell you, but you don't know, We don't,
So anyone who has not yet reached that level of King David, anyone who has not yet come to that point where he says, I have completely obliterated, taken away my selfish desires. Anybody who, even if he does everything perfect, he does everything right, he is still not a tzaddik. That's not a tzaddik because you're not doing everything. You're not inside. You're not perfect. As it says in the Talmud. The Holy One, blessed be He, saw that the righteous people were few, so He arose and planted some of them in each and every generation, as the verse states. But the tzaddik is the foundation of the world. There's very few tzaddikim. If you see a tzaddik as someone who's mostly good,
now you're just reading and we don't know what you're. We can't see this.
yeah, that's right. I didn't put that one. a tzaddik. If you say tzaddik is anyone who does more good than bad, there's plenty of tzaddikim. Look around. There's righteous people all over the world, good people all over the world. Yet the Talmud says that tzaddikim are very few. There's not a lot of them. God spread them throughout time so that there's always one or two around.
In a generation.
In a generation, right? So imagine.
Who would you say is a tzaddik?
Well, let's not let's not go there. So-
the Rabbi.
The Rabbi is 100%. Question if there was more in this generation.
There's a few.
One,
The beginning that I was like.
of course he's alive.
She's looking for some trouble there. Like I said before, we don't define who's a tzaddik, who's not. We don't know. God knows, right? Our job is not to decide who to crown people as tzaddik and give them the trophy. Like,
Right.
here's the trophy. It's not our job. But to know that there are very few people on this level. So obviously, it's a very high level that's not attainable by most of us. We're talking about something that's very, very significant, not just someone who does more good than bad. That's not good enough. It's something that who they are inside, they no longer have any battle. It's already won. It's over. That's what we're talking about. We talk about a tzaddik. And now we're going to explain a little bit more about what's going on inside with this Nefesh HaBahamis. Each of us have within us two souls. We have two souls. We're going to explain one soul now. The next soul is going to be for next chapter. We'll talk about the godly soul in the next chapter. Next week, Bezrat Hashem. But now we're going to define the animal soul that we started talking about before.
If you don't want to spoil.
That's not in the paper. No, there's no more sources. I just put the sources.
Yeah, yeah, just.
This will be challenging, especially if they don't want, yeah. But he doesn't know. I remember it.
I was going to say, you don't know about hearts? What were you doing to say that? There we go. As children, we learn Tanya Balpeh, we learn Tanya Bahart. That's the, yeah.
We used to get a quarter for every 3 lines.
That's it, yeah. Well, these days the prices have gone up, but yeah, it's the inflation.
It went up a quarter to some of the dime.
No, for a lollipop.
So our first soul, the first soul that we're going to define today, as we said, Zenefesh HaBahamis, it is the animal soul. This soul comes from the klippa. What is klippa? Klippa means a shell, a husk. Right? If you have a fruit, you want to get to the fruit inside, the fruit is covered over by a husk or a shell. There's something covering it over. You have a coconut, you want to enjoy the inside, it's covered by a hard shell that you have to get through. This is called a klippa in Hebrew, right? Modern Hebrew, it's called a klippa. In Hasidic terminology and in Kabbalah, we refer to the other side, the things that are not holy, as klippa. It's this hard shell on the outside, which it's what covers over and hides the holiness inside it. Right? Now remember we were saying, it's not about good and bad. It's about good and not good. There's no such thing necessarily as bad. But anything that's not, I mean, there is bad, but not everything has to be, if it's not, anything that's not good.
Not necessarily bad. There is something else.
But by being not good, it is automatically on the other side. You're either good or you're not good. Right? So anything that's, so if you make anything, talk about a tablecloth. Is a tablecloth holy? There's nothing intrinsically holy about a tablecloth. As long as it's not holy, it comes from the non-holy. However, there's different kinds of klippa. There's different kinds of this unholy. Some things that are unholy are intrinsically unholy and they're never going to become good. You can't take something that is bad and make it good. A tablecloth is not bad. It's just not good. If I take the tablecloth and use it for a Torah class, that becomes holy, becomes good.
Or
It's not just
the best example is paper.
a piece of paper. Exactly.
Put it right on into the Torah, it becomes holy.
Exactly.
And you put it in the pizza, right?
That's right.
And if
Before that, it was a piece of paper. There was nothing holy about it. And you could have used that piece of paper
that also.
for bad. You could have used it to write a nasty, nasty things about another person. That would have been, maybe you made it something into evil, something bad. What? Was that something? Right? You could have turned that paper into something that's completely evil. There you go. So Kabbalah describes that there's the shalosh klipot atmeot, the 3 impure klipot, which are intrinsically bad. They can never be turned over and become good. And then you have the 4th one, which is called klipat noga. Klipat noga can go either way. It's neutral, which we said is a klippa. It's not holy. It makes it unholy just by being not holy. But it's easy to shift it one way or the other. Like a piece of paper. Piece of paper is not bad, but as long as you didn't use it for good, it's not good. So this is where this soul comes from. This soul lives within our blood. And this is our life force, what keeps us going. This is what keeps us alive. We live, we breathe, we're living beings day to day through our animal soul, not through you think it would be our holy soul, our godly soul. No, it's through the Nefesh HaBahamis, the animal soul is what keeps us going. Which is why we said it's in the heart, because the blood is in the heart. That's where it all, that's the center of it all. From this animal soul comes all of our natural traits that we do, all the things that we do, all of our characteristics that are not necessarily holy, all come from there.
Which could be used for both.
which also things that can be used for both. For example, anger and haughtiness. And he goes through a bunch of examples. I'm going to break down all of these. He goes through where they come from. We're not going to do too much. These things that no, you can't. No,
Yeah. Like
Anger.
cannot be-
anger, right? It says that you can use fake anger for holiness. So it says Moshe Rabbeinu. It says Moshe Rabbeinu got angry. He got upset at the Jewish people. But anger is something you're not allowed to have anger.
Anger for not doing something good, maybe like a wake-up call.
So even that, you're supposed to fake the anger. It says a parent is supposed to fake anger at a child. That the child should see that it's serious, because you have to show, like, you get angry, the child ran into the street, you have to show you're angry at them. We don't have to really be angry, right? You can,
It's interesting. Anger is not part of the.
yeah,
It's like, it doesn't come from holiness.
no. Anger is from the other side.
Yeah.
we could do couple counseling later.
Keep it low.
Literally bringing you here, now he's gonna use everything against me.
No.
Oh, you're not holy. You're not holy, you're angry.
So the same thing also with all our pleasures that we want, right? And anything that we have, these the great pleasures, or scoffing, boastfulness, idle talk, all these things that are unholy, all come from the animal soul. That's where they all come from. Laziness, depression, all this comes from there.
Depression is not holy?
Yeah,
Depression is not holy.
because you cannot, if you believe, if depression is when, if there's no bitachon, if there's bitachon, there's no depression.
So
It also prevents you from being.
Very fine line between that and like mental, like Hashem.
So I'll actually tell you. Right. Yeah. But I will tell you, we're going to discuss this at length further on in time. We get into depression. It's very much discussed
Okay.
about how you can use not depression. Depression can't be used, but I'll give you a sneak peek. What it's going to say later on is what could be used for holiness is a bitterness, not anger, but a bitterness about things that are not going well, because that you can channel into good. Depression says can't be channeled, but a bitterness can be channeled.
Yes, that's
But that's later on in Tanya. We get to that much later. It's yeah, it comes up. It's like chapter 31 or something.
Okay.
29. Oh, really? Just that. But as we were saying before, the examples I just gave were the negative characteristics, things that are completely negative. But there's also things that are not necessarily negative that also come from the animal soul. So even things that are not necessarily negative are actually good. Good things. When a Jew does chesed, does kindness for another person, why are we being so kind?
He does that still.
We're not really altruistic. It's coming from our animal soul. It's who we are. It's our natural thing. Jews are kind people. We just like to be kind to other people. We enjoy it. We enjoy being nice to other people. It's a pleasure that we have. It also comes from our animal soul.
a selfish pleasure.
It's a yes. Not bad. It's not bad.
But you enjoy it. You say that the person that gives gets more joy than the person that receives. When you help
So that
someone,
seems so. Okay,
You don't- you don't
it
feel
makes
that.
sense, but I don't.
You make it lesson.
No, it just doesn't, not every time I do something for someone.
Not every-
Oh, no, 100%. We're not saying everything we do.
but you do get joy from it. But when you help
Not
someone,
always. Sometimes I help even though I.
100%.
Yeah.
And those, we're not talking about those times. We're not talking about those times.
You would help.
Yeah. Okay.
Your motivation at the moment is not for your personal benefit.
Yes.
But you want to listen to that thing of I can't let them down. I want to be a good person. I am a kind person. Because if you really were listening to what's right, sometimes you can say, no, that's not the right thing for you to do right now, even if they are wanting. So chesed has boundaries too.
Right? So that's the idea, that the many things that we do.
No, it's so interesting. I love this. Okay.
So many of the good things that we do, not just the negative, many of the actual good things that we do also come from this animal soul. It also comes from our natural instinct. It says about a Jew, it says that a Jewish person has 3 natural instincts. It says a Jew is we're are we translate Baishan? No, Baishan is a,
Modest.
modest.
more than modest.
Shy.
You said Rasha,
Like that.
shy.
No.
That was
Yeah,
that
Still not
Hebrew.
right, but it's still not the right word. It's
Shame.
not,
But
it's,
not shame, shame, sensitive to like.
it basically means that we are, that's we're getting. So we're going to focus on Rachamim Gam Chasadim. This is the natural things that a Jewish person just does. We have mercy. We're merciful people. We do kindness to other people. It's just who we are naturally. It's not because I have an inner battle and I've won over myself and I said, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to do nice to another person. I just want to be nice.
Mhm.
I like being a nice person. That comes from my animal soul, not from my godly soul.
Mm.
So what's being nice, godly soul?
He's not talking about it in this session.
We didn't get to the godly soul yet. Godly soul is next. No.
He's giving you
Okay,
a-
quick-
Right now, we're
quick-
talking about the
quick-
animal soul.
And just not getting into detail. Sorry.
No, this is just about the animal soul. We didn't touch on the
Right,
godly
right.
soul. We said there's a second soul. The next
Oh,
chapter is going to start
just
off.
Yeah.
The second soul is the godly soul.
I think even the qualities that we have of being good people and caring and all that comes from our animal soul and not.
Got it.
It could be coming from our animal soul.
He's giving example, you're giving examples of things that come from that.
Yes, right. So this was all, we just defined the animal soul. And as I said, next we're going to define the other side, the godly soul, and what happens from there. And then from there, we'll go on to all the deep lessons of Tanya. So that is chapter 1.
Wow.
Again, this is just, we're still introducing the concepts.
Wow.
We're still understanding what is this Benoni, then we could figure out how to live our lives as a Benoni. But first, let's figure out what a Benoni is, and that's what we're still doing right now.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you all for joining.